Good morning, Asia, and good evening, America. Time now for Wild DNA Weekend Edition with me, Eric Njoka. This is WION Wild as One. We have lots coming up in the next half an hour, including the latest in business, sports, and entertainment. Let's start with the headlines. Israel's military on edge of an imminent attack from Iran or its proxies says it is ready for a wide variety of scenarios that include both defensive and offensive action after a full situation assessment with the head of the U.S. Central Command. We will help defend Israel and Iran will not succeed, says U.S. President Joe Biden, assuring that the U.S. is devoted to defending Israel. U.S. begins moving additional defense assets to West Asian region. No end to Hunter Biden's troubles as U.S. federal judge has declined to dismiss gun charges against him. This is one of the two criminal cases against U.S. President Joe Biden's son as he ramps up his campaign for re-election. Flood havoc in areas along the Ural River in Russia. Thousands forced to evacuate as the river is said to be running 2 meters above the danger mark. Nearly 12,000 homes are underwater with warnings of worse to come. Massive crowd-fund campaign raises 34 crore rupees, the equivalent of over $4 million, to save a man from Kerala who is on death row in Saudi Arabia. Flamboyant Italian fashion designer Roberto Cavalli, known for his glamorous designs and celebrity fans, dies in Florence, aged 83. West Asia is on edge, bracing for an Iranian attack, tense over what form it will take. The next few hours are critical as the possibility of a wider war expanding in the region is increasing. Iran is reportedly preparing to launch an attack on Israel as what it calls retaliation for the attack on its embassy in Syria on the 1st of April. And the offensive could occur in the southern or northern regions anytime now or over the next few days. And it has the potential to trigger an all-out regional war. Senior U.S. officials have said that Iran, in all likelihood, will attack Israel before the weekend. According to reports in Israeli media, Iran can launch missiles and drones today, which is Saturday.
I would just say that we're watching this very, very closely. We still deem the potential threat by Iran here to be real, to be viable, certainly a credible, and we're watching it as closely as we can.
Iran has sent a message to the United States through the Arab countries, and I'm quoting them: "If you intervene in a conflict between us and Israel, we will attack American bases in the region." The warning comes as U.S. President Joe Biden stated that he was expecting Tehran to attack Israel sooner than later. However, he has warned Iran against attacking, stressing that the United States will defend Israel.
We are devoted to the defense of Israel. We will support Israel. We will help defend Israel, and Iran will not succeed.
Biden, who has been receiving constant updates on the situation from his national security team, the 81-year-old commander-in-chief also issued a one-word warning to Iran when a reporter asked Biden about his message for Iran amid fears of possible strike. Biden asserted, "Don't."
What is your message to Iran? What is your message to Iran right now?
Mr. President, to Iran in this moment.
Don't.
Despite the fears of regional tensions escalating, Israel's military has said that they have prepared plans to respond to a possible Iranian attack According to the Army's spokesperson, Israel is ready for a wide variety of scenarios that include both defensive and offensive actions.
In
the last 24 hours, we conducted reviews of plans for a wide variety of scenarios following reports and declarations of an Iranian attack. The commanders presented to the Chief of Staff the plans for defending and attacking and adjusting the operational response in all the areas.
While municipalities in Israel have reportedly been told to prepare for an attack, they've been told to ensure that all public shelters are ready for use. Civilians have also been asked to remain vigilant. Following a sharp rise in the tensions, countries including India, France, Russia, Poland and the United Kingdom have warned their citizens against traveling to Israel and in some cases the wider region amid threats of an Iranian attack. The French Ministry for Europe and Foreign Affairs has advised its citizens against traveling to Iran, Lebanon, Israel and the Palestinian territories. Along with France, India has advised its citizens not to travel to Iran or Israel till any further notice is issued. At the same time, the US has asked its consulate staff in Israel to not travel outside the Greater Tel Aviv, Jerusalem and Beersheba area. Moreover, amidst the heightened tensions, some flights have also been cancelled to Tehran. The German airline Lufthansa has extended the suspension of its flights. Retired Colonel David B. Desroches is a professor at the Near East South Asia Center for Strategic Studies at the National Defense University. He is now joining us live from Washington, D.C. Welcome to the program, and it's good to see you, Colonel David. Now, we've seen or we've heard from the U.S. The U.S. says, do not. That's according to the United States President. And Iran says, do not meddle or do not intervene in what we are supposed to do. What do you read from this?
I think there's an element of posturing here. I mean, really what Iran's issue is pride. Their pride's damaged because, three of their most senior Revolutionary Guard officers were apparently located with pinpoint accuracy within a city that no Israeli has legally been in since the days of the Raj. Obviously the Revolutionary Guard is infiltrated by Israeli intelligence. At the same time, you have a lot of internal tensions within Iran. I mean, over 20 Iranian security forces from the Navy, the police, the Revolutionary Guard have been killed fighting in eastern Iran, in the Baluch region of Iran. You have a few months ago, the ISIS explosion at the memorial for Qasem Soleimani in Kerman, which the United States warned the Iranians about. The leadership didn't go, but they let the ceremony go on. So about 100 died there. And, you had 2 months ago an Iranian missile strike on Pakistan. So there's a lot of internal tension there. In the midst of that, to lose so many senior officers in such a precise, targeted manner is a real insult. So I think Iran is trying to find a way to sort of assuage its pride and really restore its reputation as a competent security state.
Colonel David, was this attack imminent? Because some analysts say and some critics say that it was expected after what Israel did in Damascus. In your own view, do you think this attack is imminent?
I think an attack is imminent. I think that the Iranian leadership will have to do something. But, there have been attacks. For example, the head of Iran's nuclear program was killed, presumably by Israel, within Iran. And there really wasn't anything there. I think that what we'll see is an attack against against an Israeli facility or against a Jewish group. The Iranian state doesn't differentiate between the two, probably far away from the region. So the most successful attack that the Iranians have had so far was against the Jewish Community Center in Buenos Aires some years ago and the Israeli consulate in Buenos Aires. I think that it's more likely we'll see something like that because they don't want to, for example, have an all-out engagement from Lebanese Hezbollah and invite, the complete Israeli destruction of that. that would really deprive them of one of their key things. The second thing I think we'll see is stepped up activity by the Arab proxies. The Iranian regime has never been hesitant to sacrifice Arab lives in the service of the Persian desire to subdue Israel. But again, I think they will try to husband Lebanese Hezbollah as their sort of insurance against an all-out Israeli attack against the Iranian state.
Colonel David, so now we are looking at an imminent attack by Iran. Mm-hmm. If that happens, what will be the impact? That's the question that is on everyone's mind right now. What will be the impact in West Asia region, briefly?
Yeah, well, it depends on what it is, but let's assume the worst case scenario that there's a missile drone attack against Israeli population centers. I think that if that happens, Israel will respond with attacks against the Iranian cities, Iranian facilities located in cities, Iranian command and control centers. And that has the potential for setting off all of the Iranian proxy groups against perceived Western interests. So there is the potential there. There's also the potential for the disruption of shipping, which we've seen in the Red Sea. We'd see it also in the Strait of Hormuz, probably in the Arabian Sea adjacent to Iran, and into the Mediterranean, the Eastern Mediterranean. So there's the potential for serious disruption.
All right, I've been talking to retired Colonel David B. Desroches from Washington, D.C. Colonel David, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
Keeping our focus on the possibility of an Iranian attack on Israel, according to reports, Israel, longtime ally, the U.S., has increased the number of its troops stationed in West Asia. The U.S. Department of Defense says it is moving extra troops and military assets to sites in West Asia. According to a defense official, the deployments are designed to bolster regional deterrence efforts and increase force protection for U.S. forces. No official number has been released by America on the number of troops involved or the assets being directed to that area. Now, according to reports, the U.S. has about 40,000 military personnel deployed throughout the region, while about 1,000 more are headed to the area to help construct a floating pier off the coast of Gaza. Now, that pier is said to help with the delivery of humanitarian aid there. The U.S. has also dispatched the aircraft carrier USS Dwight Eisenhower as a warning to Tehran. The aircraft carrier is equipped to intercept missiles and drones launched by Iran. This is not the first time the U.S. has deployed its naval forces in the region. America's military presence in West Asia has been prevalent since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas. Washington has deployed a range of carrier strike groups, Navy ships, NAVCENT task force, as well as U.S. Coast Guard cutters in the Red Sea and surrounding areas. Nearly 10,000 people have now been evacuated from Russia's Orenburg city along the Ural River amid rising floodwaters. The havoc extends to neighboring Kazakhstan, where several rivers have flooded their banks due to rapid melting of snow. Just last week, many rivers in Russia and Kazakhstan, including Europe's third largest Ural River, burst their banks. Rapidly melting ice sheets and snow due to rising temperatures has been held liable or to blame. The Ural River flows through the Russian city of Orsk onto Orenburg, into Kazakhstan, and then onto the Caspian Sea. Russian authorities say the water of the Ural River rose to 2 meters higher than danger levels on Friday. Several villages have been inundated, with over 2,000 households completely destroyed. Russia has called the situation extremely grim, with possibly worse to come. The Orenburg governor says nearly 12,000 homes are already underwater, and the numbers could reach 20,000 if the waters rose further. Residents claim not to have been warned of the rising waters.
They said that the peak of the flood would be on April 10th. Nobody warned that it wouldn't be on the 10th, that all this happened on the 12th. All this was sudden. And if someone says they warned us, Nobody warned us. It's my wedding today. But instead of the wedding, I'm taking all the things out of the restaurant.
The flood is being described as the worst to have hit the region in over 80 years. The rising waters have posed a huge threat in northern Kazakhstan. 10 of the 14 provinces of the country have been put on high alert, with floods hitting more than half of the country's area. Authorities have halted the number of evacuees at 100,000, which is expected to soar if the waters remain uncontrolled. Several of the country's dams and reservoirs are full to capacity. Big tech companies are poised to lead the charge in the upcoming earnings season, potentially revitalizing investor confidence following a sluggish start to April. Here's a report.
Big tech earnings are poised to propel the S&P 500's profit growth in the upcoming quarter. Analysts forecast a 26.7% surge in earnings for the communication services sector, which includes tech giants like Alphabet. Investors remain optimistic about artificial intelligence, as evidenced by the Nasdaq reaching a record high close in late February, driven by rallies in heavyweights like Nvidia. Analysts anticipate energy, materials, and healthcare sectors to experience the largest declines in earnings year over year for the first quarter. Overall, S&P 500 earnings are projected to grow by a solid 5%, despite a weak start to April for the stock market. The Federal Reserve's interest rate outlook is a key factor influencing the earnings season. Recent strong consumer spending data has led investors to believe the Fed might delay cutting rates until September. This could impact growth stocks, which are typically more sensitive to interest rate fluctuations. Additionally, the disparity between spending growth and wage growth raises questions about the sustainability of the current economic trajectory. Despite the delay in potential rate cuts, the overall outlook for corporate profits remains positive. Analysts predict S&P 500 earnings to grow by nearly 10% for the full year, driven by continued investment in artificial intelligence and other growth areas. This bodes well for the technology sector and related industries like semiconductors and commodities. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.